Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Daily Finish. So, I have a bit of a serious thing to talk about today. And we all know there's, sort of a lot happening in the world right now. And this isn't about politics, but this is just generally, we all witness at the moment quite a lot of negativity, a lot of fighting between people, a lot of arguing, no matter which country you are in, no matter where in the world you live. This is not new by any stretch, but with social media, a lot of us are experiencing it in a new way, which is that we are constantly bombarded with political opinions, with lots of social stuff going on that's not so great, and it impacts us. And why this is relevant as a writer and to this conversation is because I am hearing from a lot of writers about how it seems so trite and meaningless to be working on writing a novel, for instance, or just creating art when there's so much going on in the world, and it feels like what is the point, and why am I doing this? And people are out there saving children, and here I am writing a novel, and why is this important, and why do I need to keep creating, and that kind of conversation. And I thought about it because this conversation has come up a lot recently in the last, I think maybe in the last 6 to 8 months. And for me, this has never been an issue. I've never thought my art is meaningless, or that anything I do makes no sense, or like, why am I doing it? And there are two reasons for that. One, I have been a journalist, and I've written work. I've done work that has had impact on people, and I was quite disappointed because I thought journalism had a bigger impact than it did. And I have done work that has created quite a lot of change. I mean, there was at least one subject on which I've written that was brought into public consciousness because of starting with my work. And so I'm very proud of that, and I'm very aware of that. And at the same time, I know that it was but a drop in the ocean. Like it was, it was not even the beginning. It made some impact, but nowhere near the kind of impact that I assumed journalism made. So that's one thing. But the other thing is that I look at novels and art, and I just go back to when I was a young girl growing up in India, and art changed my life. And so now when somebody says, I don't want to write a novel because it seems trite and it seems meaningless and it seems like it has no value and no importance, I do not buy that. I do not believe that, because even if you're writing something that you think is just, like a funny take, like David Sedaris, right? Like you could say his work is, it's hardly changing lives or whatever, but actually it did. I mean, it showed me a slice of life when I was back in India, struggling against my own culture. It showed me the way somebody else lived and the way it was possible. It showed me possibility. And I grew up in India with the life that was set out for me was very different from the life I have ended up living. And I was aware, I became aware of a world outside of my culture. I became aware of a life outside of my country, outside of where I lived, because of books, because of somebody else's art. And some of these books, like Bridget Jones' Diary. I don't think I didn't actually like that book, and it didn't have much of an impact on me personally. But it is one of those books that, just show the kind of conversations, the kind of power women in the West have. Like, for us growing up, and I know a lot of my friends were influenced by that book, for us growing up, reading books like that, to the Western reader, those books seem frivolous. But to my friends, a lot of my friends and me growing up, some of those books just showed how possible it was to have a life like that, how possible it was to just be free in that manner. And I grew up reading a lot of fiction by women, and a lot of classic fiction by women. And all of it inspired me, and all of it added to my worldview, and all of it showed me the different ways in which people live in the world. And they showed me the possibility of, what could happen for me. I would have to fight for it, but it was there, it was possible, and I could eventually leave if I wanted to. I could possibly create that in my own life where I was in India, and I did. And the point being that your art, as frivolous as it might seem to you today, as meaningless as it might seem to you, does have meaning, and you may never know that meaning. And this is the thing. You may never really know the impact of your work, but the thing is, if you don't create that work, you will never have the opportunity to make that impact, to create that impact. So I know there's a lot going on in the world, and there are a number of ways in which you could help, and if it, if some other way speaks to you, you should. But you are here because you're a writer, and you are here because you believe in your writing. And so I just want to remind you today that no matter what else is happening, don't forget that your work has meaning, and that you are, you should create it, because if you don't, you could potentially not be making an impact on that one person who really needs you to tell your story, who really needs you to show them what it's like to see the world through your eyes. And so this is a little bit of a serious one today, but it's such an important one. I believe this wholeheartedly, because art is what changed my life, books are what changed my life, poetry is what changed my life. And you now have the opportunity to go and change some other young person's life. And so you should take that opportunity and that responsibility seriously. And so I will leave it there, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.